Hello again, the show is Smart Money and here we are looking at the events of the week in the personal finance space.
And on the first day of the new year, the IRDA deadline for the cap on ULIP charges came into effect, meaning that now ULIPs are cheaper. Insurance companies are not too happy though. They now have thinner margins and will have to pay lower commissions to their agents. The IRDA has cleared nearly all proposals that have been filed by the companies to replace earlier plans where charges did not comply with regulations. Now you can shift to a new fund which has lower charges and that too at no cost. So, what's the game plan? On the 1st of January, you had one more reason to sing Happy New Year. After all, it was the day when the insurance regulator's cap on unit-linked insurance plans called ULIPs came into effect. What does that mean to you? Well, in a word, you save. Gone are the days when up to 70% of your first year's premium were eaten away by costs. Realizing that not only was the amount charged too much, but the number of charges were also way too many, in July, the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority or the IRDA put all of the costs together and put an upper limit on them.
From an insurance company's perspective, I think companies will start working at far more cost-effective models, because in order to ensure that cap of charges do not hurt onto their bottom lines, basically companies will have leaner structures, stronger and more efficient processes, and that will lead towards, and the benefit of that is getting passed on to the customer or the consumer.
As of the 1st of January 2010, costs only up to 3% can be deducted from the amount that you make on your ULIPs. This is for ULIPs that are for up to 10 years. But what if your policy has a longer tenure? Well then, the cap stands at 2.25%. But if you have an older policy, you are stuck with it because that mostly remains unchanged.
Very simply put, if a person was actually investing 10,000 rupees per year and he was getting maybe 11,000 rupees at the end of the policy term, now with the reduction in charges, probably they would end up getting 11,500 or 12,000 rupees. That is putting it very, very simply, because the charges which have been deducted from the policy have been reduced.
What key costs do you save on? Well, for starters, remember the premium allocation charge? This was a direct cut from your first year premium. You lost it to commission and other costs that could sometimes go up to 70%. Now, it stands at 0, or at the very worst, a tiny charge. Also, if you choose to exit your ULIP after sticking with it for 5 years, you have a 0 surrender charge.
Policies which have been purchased before 31st of December, well, the customer should just about wait and see whether, do a back of the envelope calculation and see whether they should, dump that policy and buy a new one. If they're well into the policy term, don't do it. But if it's around 3 to 5 years, probably do some calculations, check whether you should go in for a new policy or not.
The bottom line is you earn more on ULIPs. The experts across the board believe that ULIPs are not a good idea, but if you want to invest, there are better options. For the conservatives, stay invested for the very long term. Remember, you've already paid upfront costs for the entire life of the policy. That's the game plan.